Hi, I'm Rafe. Today I'm going to be teaching the difference between declarative and imperative programming. You may already know this, but the way we get computers to do things as programmers and computer scientists is by giving them a very detailed step-by-step list of what operations they should do. We call this imperative programming. Imperative programming is a great way of thinking about how the computer works. Imperative programming works well for creating simple programs or simple scripts. The problem is that most software is not simple. This is made worse by the fact that imperative programming is very verbose and often hard to read. Thankfully, computer scientists came up with a solution to this. It's called declarative programming. Instead of giving the computer a step-by-step list of what we want it to do, we simply tell it what we want. You can think of this as imperative programming being how we want something to be done, and declarative programming being actually what we want. Unfortunately, this is sometimes hard to understand, so let's go into the computer to visualize how the code actually works.
As you can see, we have some imperative code here. Both the imperative code and declarative code does the same thing, and that is making a delicious sandwich. As you can see in our imperative code first, we tell the computer what the different ingredients are. So we're telling the computer that our bread is whole grain, toast cut, that our tomato is a fruit, that our cheese is brie, and that our mayonnaise is a condiment that is mayonnaise. We are then telling the computer where to get these ingredients from. We move on to assembling the sandwich. We go step by step, putting each piece on top of the other in a very linear fashion. As you can see, this code is quite complex and not very readable. If you had to look at this, it would probably take you a couple of seconds to realize what it does. Let's switch over to the declarative code. As you can see, it's very simple. It clearly states what we want. We want a sandwich with whole grain bread, tomato, brie, and mayonnaise. Just by looking at it, you can tell what this code does. Unfortunately, there's a problem, which is our main downside to declarative software. Our computer has to understand that our sandwich function does. It's not something that's integrated directly into the programming language or the computer system. It's something that has to be programmed. We use imperative code to create a library or translation layer that allows us to turn our declarative code into imperative code that the computer can actually run. Thankfully, most developers do not actually have to deal with this, but they do have to deal with the fact that there's not declarative library for every task we want to do.
Let's recap. Imperative code is a step-by-step way of telling the computer how to do something we want it to do. It's the native way that computers operate. It works out of the box, but unfortunately, it's quite verbose, meaning that it's longer than it needs to be and quite unreadable, which makes developers' jobs harder. On the other hand, we have declarative programming. This tells the computer directly what we want. The computer then works out and translates this into imperative code in the background. Because of this translation layer needing to exist, not all tasks that we want to support have a declarative mode, meaning that we need to use a library to convert it into native computer code. I hope you now all understand the difference between imperative and declarative code. And when you finally get around to writing some code in the future, you'll know which option is right for your task.